Welcome everyone to the Ware Public Library presentation of our genealogy series titled Past Finders. Today we're going to be exploring the birth and death records and marriage records that are found on Ancestry. This is the search screen on Ancestry. You can see at the top bar there's Home, Search, Message Boards, Learning Center, Chats and Forms, and New Collections. They're all worthy to look into further, and you can search there from home during the pandemic on Ancestry if you log in to our catalog page at ware.biblionics.com. And Ancestry is always searchable in-house in the library when we reopen. Today we're going to concentrate on searching the records of the birth, marriage, and death records. And you will see we started in the search screen, and I chose the appropriate tab here called Birth, Marriage, and Death. Here on this screen, you'll see that we have narrowed our search to the birth, marriage, and death records, but you can narrow that even further. You can search just the birth, just the marriage, or just the death records. You can also look to see what other collections are available in Ancestry here if you view all in the card catalog. Their card catalog will list all of the various data collections that they have. On this screen, you'll see that we have narrowed our search further in the card catalog, and there are some options here by the blue arrows. You can see that we can filter by location, and you can see countries listed there. Also, you can filter further by dates. It's a great way to narrow your search so you're not getting too many hits or too many records that you're looking through. On this page, we've continued narrowing our search. We are searching Europe. I have chosen as the location again, and you can search particular dates. And be aware that there are lots of pages. If you'll see here by the bottom blue arrow, there are lots of pages to this search. So you can search through 10 pages and beyond here with lots of information. As we continue narrowing our search, you'll see for the country, I am choosing Poland. I further in the screen before chose Europe, and here are all the European countries. You'll see Poland is further down on my screen. I didn't have room on the screenshot, but I wanted to show you that you can indeed narrow your search down if you're looking for people from other countries. You won't be getting as many hits as if you just search birth, marriage, and death records, and you would be getting them from everywhere. Here you could actually scroll down to one of the countries if you needed to, if your parents, or grandparents, or ancestors came from other places outside the United States. And again on this screen, once I chose Poland, you can see that you can also filter by the location in Poland. So you can get very, very specific in these searches. If you're not getting any hits when you're searching very, very specific numbers, then go back a screen or two, or do a general search screen until you found what you're looking for. Now back to the birth, marriage, and death records. I chose a name to search, and I just chose randomly Hale because Ware was once called Halestown. It was the first name that came to me. So I did a general search for the name Hale in birth, marriage, and death records. Continuing on, I chose the first name on the list of New Hampshire births and christenings, and I found an Esther Hay. Now, you have to remember that some of these records were handwritten back in the day and could be easily misread by somebody transcribing them. So I'm going to take a look at this Esther Hay and see what other information I can find about her. From this record, she was born in Keene in 1893. She was Canadian, although she was born in the United States. I suspect her parents, or at least one of her parents, was born in Canada. Her father's name was Pearlie Hale, mother's name Mary E. Mahoney. And the Pearlie name as a first name is fairly unusual. So it's always good to keep that in mind when you're doing searches. If there's some unusual family name, it helps to limit the searches and definitely gives you more information to go by. On this screen, you will see here is the summary of the Esther Hay that we found, and you can see in parentheses it says Esther Hale, the birth date 1893, Keene. Again, the information that we saw on the previous page. Sometimes there is an image here. It says no image on this particular screen. And because there is no image, I would want another piece of information to collaborate this name as Hale and not Hay. But for the moment, this is the record that we're looking at. You can also see on the right-hand side next to the blue arrow, you can send this document home in email. So you would be able to do that, putting in your email address. That way you can save it on your computer or print it out for your files at home. On this screen, I went back to that first search screen that we had, and I had chosen originally the Esther Hay that was up here, but now scrolling down a few more names, here is an Esther Hale. And it's actually Escher here, but the mother is Mary Mahoney and the father is Pearlie Hale. So again, this Escher Hale is the same one as the Esther Hay listed above because it is the same birth date and the same parents. So misspelled names are fairly common, trying to read the handwriting of these earlier records. So you just need to confirm the information as you go along in your search. Here we are exploring the Escher Hale that we found on the previous screen. And again, you can see some of the information here does match up and is a summary of what we saw on the earlier screen. But we here on the left-hand side are able to view the actual written record. And that's always helpful to go in to see, and it's kind of fun to actually see the handwriting that was used to record this record at the time. Here we are on the actual handwritten record. It is a little bit difficult to read, but if you'll notice on the right-hand side with the blue arrow, there is a slide bar, so you can enlarge the screen so that you can read portions of it a little easier. Here you can see the name of the child, the birth date, July 16th, 1893, born in Keene. And then we will look at the bottom half of this image on the next screen. On this screen, the bottom half, it looks like Pearlie Hale was the father. The birthplace now we have of the father is Swansea, New Hampshire. His age is 26. They are now living in Keene. The father's occupation was laborer. The mother's maiden name we knew as Mary Mahoney, but we now have a nice piece of information that she was born in Ireland. So if you didn't know this before, you've added some information that you've gathered. I tried to continue the search because I do like to do birth, marriage, and death records for a particular person that I'm searching. And I found nothing else, either for marriage or a death record for Esther or Escher Hale. It became a real mystery, and I do hate unsolved mysteries, but I did need to move on for this presentation purposes, so that is what I did. Moved on to another record. So I ran into a dead end with Esther or Escher Hale. I've moved on to see if we can find some siblings. I am back on the original screen where Esther was listed as the first choice up here and saw her later down the list. But looking further down this list, I see a Maud Hale. And here is the father, Pearlie Hale. So I suspect, again, in Keene, New Hampshire, so I suspect those clues are going to lead us to a sibling of our Esther or Escher Hale. And we will explore that further. Here you'll see on the screen when I chose Maud Hale, the little summary that we have. Indeed, she was born in Keene. Again, her father's name, Pearlie Hale, and the mother, Mary A. Mahoney. So I am fairly confident that this is a sister of our original search person of Esther or Escher Hale. And we will go on to explore her, Maud's birth, marriage, and death records. Now I have entered Maud Hale as a search, and you'll see a lot of records that are coming up here, birth, death, burial, census records, and grave records. So we have a lot of records here that we can search and follow Maud from birth to marriage to death. Exploring further into this death record, you can see the information is summarized here for Maud. And again, this does have a viewable record of the actual handwritten record that was recorded at the time of her birth. You'll recognize this as a death record. We can see the information here. I did not find a marriage record for Maud, so I'm going to explore this death record a little closer up and enlarge some of the portions so we can read some more of her information. As I have mentioned, I do like to do birth, marriage, and death records when I'm searching for a person. And I did not find any marriage records for Maud, so I moved on to the death record search. And if you'll notice in this enlargement of the death record, it says married, single, widow, or divorced, and Maud is listed with an S as single. So Maud never married, which is why I did not find any marriage records for her. But we do have a little more information here on this particular record. She was a telephone operator. She died of pneumonia. And also her father's name, again, just making sure when confirming that this is the same person, Pearlie Hale and Mary Mahoney. We have the birthplace of the father, birthplace of the mother, and the occupation of the father has now changed. He is a patrolman. So he's changed his occupation from laborer to patrolman in this time frame between searching for Esther and searching for Maud. Here on this screen, you'll see that we actually found a gravestone marker for Maud. She was buried in Keene. You can see the cemetery is Woodland Cemetery. Again, father's name and mother's name. And this will take us, if we click on it where it says go to website, out of Ancestry into Find a Grave. Find a Grave is searchable on its own through a Google search. You can go to Find a Grave and just search a name that way. But Ancestry does include Find a Grave in its searchable databases. So we will click on this next link and actually see the gravestone marker here of Maud Hale. And we are now at the Find a Grave website, and you can see here is all the information and an actual picture of the marker that is on Maud's grave, her birth, her date of death, she was 29, her burial place, the plot number. If you were looking to visit some of your ancestors' graves, you can actually find, hopefully find the actual plot number where they are buried. And there's some other information down here of Pearlie, her father, family member, and her mother. But siblings are listed here of William and Mildred. And where is Esther or Esher? We have not found her anymore in any of our searching through the Hales. So it's a mystery, and a mystery that I'm going to solve. Because Esther or Esher Hale was such a mystery to me, I went back to the record where her name was displayed in the birth index. And I am reading this as Ethel. I'm seeing E-T-H-E-L. And the reason it looks like that to me, exploring more of the handwriting here on this page, you can see whoever recorded this when they wrote Keene. Even the E has a little tail on it under the line here. So the Ethel, I'm thinking that this name is Ethel. I'm going to do a search for Ethel Hay and see if I can solve this mystery of why I can't find any more information on this person. Aha! I think I might have solved the mystery. When I do a search for Ethel Hay, I find this record. Sure enough, there's an Ethel. Her birth date is approximated here, and it is about the right one. Aha, the father's name is Pearlie Hale, and the mother's name is Mary Mahoney. And this is an actual marriage record. So now I have found Ethel, who married in Brattleboro, Vermont. She married Norris Wasson. and we have his name, his age, his father's name, his mother's name. So now I have Ethel's birth record, and this is her marriage record. I'm very happy that I took a second look at that name and solved part of the mystery of why we couldn't find her under Esther or Escher. Here we can document the marriage record. Let me take a closer look. This is indeed Ethel May Hale. She did indeed marry a Norris Bartlett Wasson. The bride lived in Keene. The date of the marriage is 1914, and she was 21. It is her first marriage, and that is sometimes a nice clue if you are looking to see the different names of wives you found for people in your family tree. It's nice to know, was it a first marriage, a second marriage? So it's a nice piece of information here. Again, the father is Pearlie Hale, and the mother is Mary B. Mahoney, born in Queenstown Island. So now we have another piece of information about where her mother, Mary B. Mahoney, was born. Before we just knew Island, now we know Queenstown Island. So if we wanted to do a search for Mary B. Mahoney in Queenstown Island, we do have another piece of information. And again, they listed the officiating party that married the couple. Now, following along my procedure for wanting to find birth, marriage, and death records, I am going to search for a death record with her married name. So here I have put in Ethel Wasson, W-A-S-O-N, her birth year of 1893, her birth in New Hampshire, USA, and I put in the father's first name as Pearlie because it is an unusual name. It does help limit our searching. Here you can see there is a Social Security application index claim, and I just wanted to pop that in to tell you that you can search for other information besides birth, marriage, and death records. That just happens to be what we have focused on today. So this is a Social Security information for Ethel May with her married name of Wasson. Now we have found a piece of information in the U.S. City Directories Index. I have found my Ethel Wasson, her residence year, and she is now out in Seattle, Washington. Is this my Ethel? Well, the husband's name is Norris B. Wasson, so I am pretty sure that this is the same Ethel Wasson that we were looking for. They are now living in Seattle, Washington in 1934. And don't forget, again, you could send any of these documents home here by just clicking the orange button. Here I have found a limited death record of Ethel Wasson, married to Norris B. Wasson. So I am pretty sure that this is my Ethel that I have been searching for. However, I would follow this up with more information on her death. Just to be sure, I would like to see a death record with her parents' names on it. So I would not stop at this particular record. I would continue until I had a more official image or some more information that this was indeed the one we were looking for. But I would say I'm probably 95% sure that this is the one we are looking for. And do remember, when you're doing your searches, you do want to make sure you're following the right path of your ancestors, or the right limb to your family tree. So make sure you get a lot of evidence that does corroborate the information you're finding. It would be very easy to find an Ethel Wasson and go off on a family tree and have it be the wrong one. So do make sure you find enough information that you are confident that this is the right person that you are looking for. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation of searching the birth, death, and marriage records and ancestry. We're a public library. We're happy to have you come in and do your searching in-house when we reopen after the pandemic. And this is Thelma, and I would be glad to help you with any of your searching or getting you started. Hope you have a great day, and I hope you've enjoyed this.